I am obviously Mr. Moody, athletic director. I also teach BIT at the middle school for those that don't know. Um, like I said, for those that didn't hear before, we are recording this. I'm going to put it up on YouTube. If you do not want to be shown, mute your mic, turn off the camera part. It looks like most of you have done that anyways. So that's good. I'm going to start first, and then after I'm done with mine, I'm going to hand it over to Coach Clark. Whatever he has to say, he's probably going to keep it pretty short and sweet. But we did want to get you together, kind of talk about a few things. Obviously, we have a lot of different protocol this year. So first, I'm going to talk about concussion protocol. It's a big one with football. So as many of you are aware, we are constantly learning about the causes and effects surrounding concussions. It is ever changing, and athletics all over are constantly adapting with the new information we receive. With that said, we are not impact testing like we have done in past. Many area doctors are not using the test results, and it seemed like the test had too much variance anyways. So we weren't getting a lot of what we hoped would happen with the test. A lot of doctors weren't using it. The feedback that we got from a lot of them is that it wasn't effective for what they were looking for. So we are nixing the impact test. And instead of that, I'm going to use our corporation nurse, Brooke Wagner, for all concussion issues. If an athlete exhibits concussion symptoms, they will be removed from the contest. Coaches will contact me. Our coaches have had training in identifying and handling concussions, so your athletes are in good hands. The athletes will then be directed to Mrs. Wagner, and she will handle everything from there. Your pediatrician or family doctor is also a good option. Not saying that you shouldn't use them, but we will definitely go through Brooke to kind of determine when the students are allowed to go back on the field and practice or play. So that's kind of how we're handling that. Once this process begins, like I said, I will not allow athletes to compete or practice again until I receive clearance from Mrs. Wagner, just for kids' protection. So grades. At Yorktown, we expect our athletes to be students first. I will personally do grade checks on all athletes at each quarter and midterm. If any athlete has 2 F grades, they are immediately ineligible for athletics. This means that they are not allowed to participate in any contests and may not travel with the team, but they may still practice. We think them being around the team is a good idea. It kind of helps out with, their motivation, things like that. So we do want them to still be with the team, but obviously we don't want them traveling to away games. They need to be doing their work and getting their grade back up. After the 2 weeks, I will then check the grades and to determine if the athlete is then eligible or not. To maintain the integrity of grade checks, I do not allow kids to immediately fix their grade if they are ineligible at the quarter or the midterm. Sometimes what we get is kids will find out they're ineligible, then turn in 17 assignments to the same teacher and expect them to be graded the next night. That's just not going to happen. I wouldn't want to put that on our teachers anyways. That's too much for them. They have a lot of things to do. And it's just not the right way to do it. Kids need to make sure that they keep their grades consistent. We don't want them to slip by at the quarter of the midterm. So they need to be on those grades. They need to be aware of where they are, and they need to keep them in positive standing rather than just getting them up when it's quarter or midterm. So we really, really want to focus on that, and I won't be checking eligibility again until those 2 weeks. So that's kind of how we're going to handle that. Like I said, this should encourage athletes to keep up their grades, and they need to be checking them in Power School and talking with teachers throughout the year, not just at midterm or quarter. When it comes to playing time, I defer to my coaches. In middle school, we are certainly still at a developmental level, but we are also setting out to win contests. This is kind of not, this isn't really, the developmental league. This isn't the JAA. We kind of go out and play to win. We obviously want to develop the kids, and Coach Clark, Coach Turner do get kids in and get them playing time. But when it comes down to it, they are the ones that decide the playing time and how that goes. If there are any questions about playing time, we would like for the athletes to advocate for themselves. So we want the athletes to talk to Coach Clark or Coach Turner and have those conversations. It's really good for the athletes to start advocating for themselves, and that's kind of the route we want them to take. So that's where we want to go. Now, obviously, if you have questions and you don't feel like things are being talked through, you can contact Coach Clark or Coach Turner or myself. But most of the time, when it comes to these playing time questions, I'm gonna defer to the coach. They're there every practice. They're there every game. They see the effort. They see the things that happen, and they're the ones that are the experts on it. So. Conduct. We stress to our athletes that when they put on their uniforms, they are representing Yorktown. They should take pride in that and be exemplary competitors as well as show great sportsmanship. The hope is that our adults can help to model this behavior. So please remember that our kids are always trying their best. The goal of the fans should always be to cheer on all kids who are competing. In this same vein, please remember that all officials are community members who are deeply invested in the growth of our children. We do pay them, but it isn't some ridiculous amount, and they are officiating because they love it, and they should be treated with respect. So just definitely model the behavior that we want our kids to show. They see the things that we do, and if we show those model behaviors, like both of our coaches here, I think that it really rubs off on the kids, and they show the sportsmanship that we're hoping that they'll show. So not that I think this is going to be a problem, but I always like to address it. Now on to some COVID changes. So obviously we have some changes this year due to the circumstances surrounding COVID-19. First, we have guidelines in place from the DOE that are expected to be followed. Things such as masks and sanitizer rules are there to protect the athletes and coaches, and they must be followed. Your athletic department and coaches have many new procedures in place as well that you may not even be aware of. And we need to help encourage and model these guidelines. So the guidelines that we've received, the things like wearing masks on the sidelines and some of the sanitizer rules, those were not things that myself or Paul Heidenreich at the high school came up with. Those came directly from the DOE over the summer. They were reopening guidelines that schools all over have to follow. And, you know, it's just best practice to follow those. We don't want to end up where Delta is right now. For those that don't know, their entire football team is quarantining for 2 weeks, missed a few games, at least one game, and it's just a bad situation. So the things that we're doing here could be the difference between, you know, us playing a complete season or having to quarantine a couple weeks. So it's just always good practice. Be sure that your athlete always has water at events and practices. We cannot provide these as we have been able to in the past to keep from cross-contaminating between our athletes. We are not allowed to provide them a community water source. They shouldn't be sharing clothing. They shouldn't be sharing towels. They shouldn't be doing any of that stuff. And we're just not allowed to. So it's really, really important that they always have a water bottle. We can potentially find ways for them to fill those up at school before they go out to practice. But if those things can be filled and ready to go, that's going to be great for them. They should never forget those water bottles because that would be really bad. We will have many procedures set in place for tracing purposes this year, as well as such as bus seating charts and different group practice guidelines. Many of you won't see these, but please continue to encourage your athletes to adhere to these guidelines. So on buses, we're expecting them to always sit where they are assigned. Coach Clark, Coach Turner are going to create these seating charts on buses, and we're going to keep them, and they're going to adhere to that for every single time they're on a bus. It's for tracing purposes, so if Timmy gets sick, he is sitting in a seat with John, and he's closer to some of these other people around him, and that might be the difference between Timmy and John staying home because they were near each other with you know a certain distance, and the rest of the team can move on if they're not showing symptoms. If we don't have these tracing guidelines, then technically everybody is in close proximity, and we're talking quarantine like we're seeing at Delta. So we do the tracing things obviously for health concerns, but it also helps us track who has close contact with who and make some of those decisions. Now on to fans. So at this very moment, we are limited to 250 people per venue as per the Department of Health. We're not allowed to have more than 250, and that includes officials and players. So it's not just 250 fans. It includes everybody at the venue. So what this means for some sports is that we have limited attendance. That's football for the most part. For those with limited attendance, I will determine the necessary personnel before the contest and provide attendance vouchers for the remainder. So before every contest, I'm getting exactly how many people Newcastle is sending to Yorktown. When I get that number, I put however many personnel we need, which would include obviously our team. It would include myself. It would include anybody in the press box. It would include anybody in the chain gang, concession stand workers, things like that. I've got to count all those numbers. That gives me a number, and then I know how many vouchers I can hand out to teams. My first priority is making sure that every single kid on both teams has at least one voucher so they can have a guardian at the games. This is obviously what we want to have happen. And, if there were ever a medical emergency, we would definitely want to make sure that guardians are able to be there for something like that. So we always are going to, and there's not a circumstance that I can think of where we won't be able to have at least one voucher per kid when it comes to football. So we should be in good shape there. Like I said, our first priority is one per player. Then after that, we're going to give priority to ourselves. I don't know how other schools are going to handle all of this. We're kind of all over the place. There's some schools that are just doing first come, first serve. There's some that are doing other things. I have literally no idea if other teams are going to send us vouchers for away games. I'm hoping that's what they're going to do, but I don't know. So we are going to make sure their team has enough for one guardian per, and then we're going to use the rest of the vouchers for ourselves. So how those will be distributed, we'll talk to coaches about some of that stuff and do some of those things. But yeah, that's how we're going to handle vouchers. We're also not selling all sports passes this year for obvious reasons. It would be tough to honor those sometimes, and just doesn't seem like the right thing to do. With concessions, concessions are kind of a fluid situation. Everything that we have to do with concessions has to be pre-packaged. So gone are the days where you can get the cheese from the machine and go straight into your veins. We can't do that stuff anymore. We're going to have everything pre-packaged. We might have some hot dogs made ahead of time wrapped in foil, but I'm not sure how that's going to work. My word right now is that our first game at home will not have concessions. They will not be ready for us next week. So that being said, if you were to bring water, obviously things like that, those would not be stopped at the gate when it comes to concessions. So obviously we don't want you to bring an entire turkey dinner, but if you were to bring some water, maybe a few snacks, something like that, that would be okay, at least for Wednesday, unless I find out concessions are good. But as of right now, I'm being told we're not going to have concessions for the first game, but we should for subsequent games. Seating is the last thing I have to talk about. We are going to observe social distancing. We will have markers on all bleachers. There will be an X, and it will be one person per X. So if you bring a 5-year-old child, you're going to be sitting on an X, and they will have their own X. The Department of Health does not want us to recognize family units when it comes to these spots because it's tough to trust people sometimes. Not that anybody here would lie, but some people would not tell the truth about that. So we just want one person per X. That would absolutely not count if you have like an infant child. But if you have, school-age children, they're going to be on their own X 6 feet away from everybody else. Those X's will be marked in the bleachers, and you'll have to be seated in those. We're also going to require masks at all events, regardless of the venue. So our athletes are being directed to wear those masks on the sidelines and benches, and we're going to expect spectators to do that as well. Aside from that, I will let you know that Paul Heidenreich and I are working on an amendment. We sent a document to the Department of Health with trying to change some of the venue rules here for football. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I don't know that they'll change it, but that is in the works. If you are going to different events, this year. So like volleyball's going to do the same thing in their bleachers, but we're just going to socially distance at things like soccer and cross country. So that's kind of all I have. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Coach Clark.
All right. Thanks, Coach Moody. A lot of good info in there. I'm just going to reiterate a couple things he said. The first one about grades. Parents, I really hope your child has showed you how to use PowerSchool and how to keep up on grades on PowerSchool, especially with, this being such a different year with them not seeing their teachers every day. It's hard to keep up on grades. And it's easy for a kid to not do an assignment and to pretend they did an assignment and tell you they did an assignment. So please, if you can, keep up on checking their PowerSchool. Have them show you. They all have their own login. Have them show that they have everything in. I suspect failing grades this year is mainly going to come from not turning in homework assignments, not from doing poorly on quizzes and tests. So we really want to keep every kid eligible this year, not just for football, but just in general. And so make sure they're doing their homework and turning in those missing assignments. I'd hate to have a kid not eligible just because they have 5 assignments missing. Okay. Practices, Coach Moody talked about it for a little bit. One thing, parents, you're not allowed to come down to practice with all the guidelines and everything. Just know that wait at vehicles. Along with that, with playing time and things like that, really have the kid come talk to a coach first about that, and then I'll gladly talk to you about why your son's not playing. I won't be comparing them to other kids. We don't get in that comparison game, but I'll gladly talk to you about it. But it'll probably be through a car window or something like that. With that, we have a lot of new 8th graders this year. It's awesome. We have a lot of kids that are athletes that have not played the game before or not played in a while. So they're still really learning technique and learning how to do it right. Football, when done with the right technique, is not safe, but it's relatively safe. You can't just throw an athlete into a football game and they know what they're doing. It's not safe. So we are really working on that in practice. We will not play a kid in a game situation in a spot that will be unsafe. Just so you know that ahead of time. So if your child can't go against our number ones in practice, I can't put them against another team's number ones in a game, just from a safety standpoint. So, and we're trying to break kids in. They go against kids equal skill, and then they start going against more and more. And 7th and 8th grade, we've been doing a lot of controlled scrimmage this year. It's worked pretty well. And we're blowing a quick whistle when it looks like it might not be a good situation. But just realize the kids got to show some practice they can do it before we're going to put them in the game situation. All right. Water, get lots of water. Kids are drinking their water up in practice. It might need 2 or 3 waters. I don't know. In games, it's going to need even more than that. For some reason, kids drink so much more in games than in practice. So really that first game, I don't know if you send 5 water, but I don't know, but bring more than you think for waters, because
they get to carry their backpacks on them throughout the day too. So if they bring a lot of water, they can store that in their locker, no problem. They've got storage this year.
Or in their black mesh bag that they keep.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's great. I'm talking especially for games, because come game time, we're going to have kids cramping up, and it's going to be from that lack of water. It happens every year, especially that first game. And it's not supposed to be too hot next week, but it's always hot. It's always 90 degrees and humid that first game. This is mainly for 8th graders. For home games, we're always going home. For away games, sometimes we go home. Sometimes we wait for the bus. I assume, Mr. Moody, this year we're going to meet at the football stadium and not at the locker room. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, that would probably be the better route to take for sure.
Yep, and we won't ever come back to the middle school. No reason to do that. So kids don't need to bring their pads game days, because we'll just meet over there. And then after, just take them home, and that'll be how that works. We'll be handing out game jerseys sometime soon. That'll be your responsibility to wash. So just be careful with that, and we'll take those jerseys back at the end of the year. I would encourage you to have them put their names on their pads. Not they're going to be giving back their helmets and shoulder pads, so not on those, but on their pants. And everyone has the same black pants on their mesh bags. Put their names on it. Those are getting mixed up all the time. Like my backpack, I got my backpack back. If you were wondering, there was a mix up there. Black backpacks there are a lot of them, so we get that. My only other thing is what Mr. Moody said about the voucher system. I've got a family, I've got 4 kids, and they're not going to be able to come to all the games just with the vouchers and the way it's going to work out. But if you want an extra voucher, that means we need volunteers. We need 3 people to run the chains on the sidelines, and we need 2 people up in the booth, and that's both 7th grade and 8th grade. Doing it separately, is that right, Mr. Moody? We're not going to do the same for both?
Say that again.
In the past, we've had 3 7th grade chains and 2 in the booth, and 3 8th grade chains and 2 in the booth. Okay.
Yeah. We'll definitely need 2. I mean, at least 1 in the booth. Got to run scoreboard. But if somebody wants to do some announcing, they want to start a new career, we're always ready for that. So.
Yeah. And what's great about the
announcing?
announcing?
A good one last year, right?
Yeah, we did.
Oh man.
And what's great about the announcing too is I suspect there will be people outside the fence looking through the fence. I'm not encouraging, but I suspect it. So it might be nice to have someone up there kind of giving shout outs to, so people can kind of keep an eye on who's out there. So I don't think we'll be able to get volunteers through this.
Probably not.
But I'm going to need 3 for the chains and an announcer and a scoreboard keeper. And that can be people that are, it's going to maybe get cold at the end of the season or rainy. So that announcers and scorekeeper, you got it nice in the booth.
The press box is the way to go for sure. It's very nice.
Yeah. All right. So that'll be 5 volunteers for 7th grade and 5 for 8th. 8th grade parents, if you could shoot me an email. I think you should all be on that email chain, and we'll kind of do maybe first come, first serve, or I might have to reach out for people. I think that's all I got.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for either of us? If you do, just mute yourself.
Just want to say thanks.
All right. No problem.
Thanks.
We're excited to get started for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do 7th graders need to ride the bus home, or if we're pulling them for something else in the middle of the game, can they come off the field for that?
If they need to leave, obviously you can find me. I can go grab them. You'll see me. I'll be present. I'm never hiding. So you'll be able to find me pretty easily. If you get to me, I can go out there and grab them for sure. When it comes to going to the games, typically they eat after school. It'll kind of be up to Coach Turner. He will communicate that, how they want to handle that. So typically they would eat after school. I don't know necessarily how that's going to work this year, but he will definitely communicate what he wants to do, where he wants them on game day. So.
Okay. All right.
And with that, 8th grade, we leave later, so we don't stay after school. And usually we all ride the bus there. I don't know how that will look this year, and the ride the way home. But I am definitely okay with the parents taking the kids home after the game. But I do need you to sign the kid out. You personally need to come to me. You can't sign a friend out or anything like that. And I'll have a sign out sheet, sign the kid's name, and you can take them.
During the game though, how does that work to sign them out?
During the game, I hope we don't have to leave during a game.
Yeah. For signing them out during the game, you would just go through me.
Okay.
I would be aware that they're leaving with you. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Would there be any way, you said no friends, is there any way that we could, if we talk to you ahead of time or something? I just know that the McKays and the Dohertys are doing a lot of carpooling because we're coming from Muncie, and wondering if we could arrange something there.
So we've talked about the vouchers, they'll be handed out to each kid, and then those will kind of be distributed. Are you talking about going to the games? Or,
Yeah, and then I'm just talking about bringing them home afterwards. I'm talking about signing out. You said you don't want a parent signing out a friend, but if how
we'd
does
like
that?
to know ahead of time if that's going to
Sure.
happen.
Okay.
So, we would like maybe a note or just, some heads up, an email, something like that to say, hey, they're going to go home with the Dohertys tonight rather than,
Okay.
just
Great.
something like that, just so we can kind of have a heads up.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anyone else? All right. Well, like I said, this is going to be put up on YouTube probably tomorrow afternoon. So if you need to review it, you can. Other people that have missed it, you can kind of direct them to this, obviously, to get the information. Other than that, I'm glad that you all were able to show up, and I'm excited for the season.
Hey, Dustin, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Coach Turner, I just didn't know if you knew
Oh,
I was
hey.
here or not.
There you are.
I
You're the
didn't know if
iPhone.
my
iPhone's in here. I
camera's
didn't know
broke,
who the
guys.
iPhone was.
Sorry. So
All right, yeah, Coach Turner, if you want to talk, go right ahead.
yeah, just to highlight some 7th grade items. Those guys hit a lot of the items with the water and grades. Also, too, I do encourage, make sure you do stay up on Power School. Last couple years, a couple key players fell behind on some assignments, put us in a little jam. So just no matter what, if they're straight A student, doesn't matter. Just always stay conscious of their grades. That way, you miss 2 weeks, you're missing 2-3 games. I don't know how that falls, but just please stay on top. Stay on top of the grades. And water, we haven't had. I got to do a better job of giving water breaks. I will admit that. But they definitely do need to bring. Well, I don't think we've had any issues with that. Just make sure game day. Next Wednesday I see you have a lot of stuff you're bringing to the school with you, and forgetting that, just be very conscious. So we have a lot of players going both ways. It is important. They do need water. And then game day procedure with 7th grade. We always stay after school. And I hope that can stay the same. We do. They eat something. Years past, we've had parents Subway. Don't really know how that's going to work yet this year. Don't really have that figured out. But maybe pack them a lunch for after school. Usually eat a little bit, and then we do a little game prep, and then we walk over to the high school together. Moody, can that still stay the same? Or
Yeah, you can still stay after. We can give you the cafeteria. You'll have
Okay.
enough room to distance in there, so that shouldn't be an issue. We'll probably have to assign areas in the cafeteria for just tracing purposes. So, but that'll be something that we can definitely work out. I can work that out for you tomorrow. So no problem.
Okay, so that's what we will do as 7th graders. Stay after school, eat a little something, and then we have about an hour or so for just pre-game. We usually run through plays, run through defensive sets per team that we are playing. I don't have a whole lot of team rules. Just stay up on grades. And one thing, I know it's hard, but if we could do doctor's appointments and dentist appointments to where it does not affect football practice, for that week, we do not have a lot of time to prep. We play on Wednesday, do a conditioning day on Thursday, Friday Monday we have to practice, Tuesdays pregame to make sure that, any little injuries we have, give us extra time to heal. So just when there is practice time, just be conscious of those doctors and dentist appointments from 3:30 to 5:30. If we can avoid it at all costs, would be. I know when you can get into the doctor right now or the dentist right now, you got to go because I know they're busy. But if we could just be conscious of the time frame, that would be great. And then two, I do not discuss playing time. As Coach Clark said, it is about safety. I will try. I'm very every year so far. I have got everybody in, whether it be special teams, defense, offense, all are important, right? So like Coach Clark said, if he is uncertain of himself in practice, it is very hard to put them in a game situation. So it's not, I don't have anything against him. It's just, it does come down to safety. Maybe not just your child, somebody else. If you miss a blocking assignment, you're a lineman, running back gets hit hard, whatever, it's safety all the way around. I am very conscious. I do want to see everybody play. It does us no good to have 23 now, 15 for next year. As they go into freshmen, they have 9. I try to send, if not more, to Coach Clark the following year. So I am very conscious of it. I don't talk about it. The player can talk to me about it. And, what can I do? And I can give some suggestions. If they can improve, I am more than willing to give them that shot. But it does come mostly from a safety standpoint. Parent expectations, just nobody down at the practice field. I don't know if we've ever had an issue with that. It's just that they're in middle school. Let them be coached. You can talk to them after practice, see what's going on. If you have a huge issue, send me an email. If it's not about playing time, and then kids are in certain positions for what is best for the team. We don't have very many big kids that do go to Yorktown. So if they are a big kid, I understand it's not the greatest scenario for them to be on the line. But it is what is best for the team. My perception of what is best for the team. Don't come to practice. Don't talk about playing time. The player can talk to me about playing time, like I said, and I will give him my honest reason of why. Game day procedures: we wear our game jerseys to school. Like I said, we'll stay after school. Then we'll walk to the middle school together. They won't come home. Make sure they have a meal. We might still be able to figure something out if a parent volunteers for the subway situation. I don't know how that works with this whole COVID scenario going on. And I do need volunteers also for the chain gang and scoreboard. I think my email's out there somewhere. Email me. I'm usually walking up from practice. Come talk to me. Hey, I want to do the chains. I want to do the scoreboard. And we can maybe get a list going.
Yeah, piggyback off of that. If we don't have chain gang, we can't run the game. People
Yes.
will be picked out of the crowd. I can't do that. I also can't do scoreboard because I have to go around and do my monitoring. That's my job. So we have to have somebody do scoreboard, or we don't have a scoreboard. So we can't. We have to have a scoreboard. So.
And that's pretty much all I got. Is if you guys have any questions, shoot them away.
Yeah, I got one more thing. So assistant coaches, we each have a couple assistant coaches we didn't get a chance to introduce. Mike Barron is helping me out with the 8th grade, and he's going to be running the defense. He's got an 8th grade daughter who is not on the team, and a 5th grade son and younger son. So Mike's doing an awesome job with them. And then Richard Little is also volunteering and helping with the 8th grade again. So we're really lucky on 8th grade to have those two guys. So if you get a chance and see them, just thank them for what they're doing.
All right. If there are no other questions. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming out here. And we look forward to the season. like I said, if you want to review this, you can check out the recording. It'll be on YouTube probably tomorrow. And good luck and see you out at the football field.